boys, welcome back to the channel. We just got a kit reveal for Morgan Elsbeth last night, and I want to talk about it a little bit because I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. So let's first go through the kit, and then we'll hop over to the game and we'll talk about our speculations as far as what characters are going to work with her and how Night Sisters might change or what we can expect from the Great Mothers getting added to the game later on. So first things first, Morgan Elsbeth is going to be a tank. I think we already knew about that. Durable tank that synergizes with Foresight and Stealth to help Acolyte and Spirit do big damage. So they're already kind of giving you Acolyte and Spirit as candidates for the team, but as you guys know, sometimes CG plans these things around a character and then it doesn't actually end up turning out that way. So we'll see. Provides sensitivity with health protection mechanics around Foresight and Stealth. Sets the stage for the new Night Sister squad. So as you'll see later on, this is not going to go into the Mother Townsend squad. However, if the squad is good enough, I could see it pulling a couple of key characters from that squad, but we'll talk more about that later. So we're doing the version of Morgan Elsbeth from the Ahsoka show, the one who gets the Night Sister power up midway through the show, who has to stall Ahsoka while Thrawn gets away. Basically, one thing to note, I did notice here, is there's not going to be a Q&A for her like a lot of the other characters, so just keep that in mind. This is all the information we're getting. Also, she's required for the epic confrontation for Baylan Skoll, so I think that all but confirms the fact that Baylan Skoll's legendary event or epic confrontation is going to be the same way Bo-Katan Mandalore's was. So 4 or 5 characters that are required at Relic 7. We now know Morgan Elsbeth is one, and Thrawn is going to be one, both required at Relic 7. So I would imagine Great Mothers is going to be another one, and Shin Hati would be the last. If it's 4, if it's 5, I'm not sure who would be the 5th. Maybe a new Sabine or something. I don't feel like that makes a ton of sense, though. We'll see. Anyways, characters coming on Thursday, so I'm sure a lot of people will be doing some testing. Anyways, basic. Blade of Townsend, deal physical damage to target enemy, and Morgan gains defense up and protection up for 1 turn. If the target is inflicted with defense down, the weakest other non-tank Night Sister ally stealths for 1 turn. If Morgan is taunting, inflict enemy with vulnerable for 1 turn. I'm curious about this clause that says the weakest other non-Night Sister ally stealths. If you already have characters in stealth, will that then spread it to the next weakest character? Like if your weakest character is already in stealth? Because if it doesn't, I'm worried that you're going to have Acolyte under stealth and that she's going to be your weakest character, and basically you're not going to be able to get anybody else under stealth because she's already going to be under stealth because she's basically always under stealth anyways. So I'm a little worried about that. So that's one thing. My Loyalty, My Life. This one, dispel all buffs on all enemies, so a mass dispel, which is pretty good. And all Night Sister allies recover 50% health and protection and gain defense penetration up for 2 turns. If Morgan is taunting, all Night Sister allies gain 20% turn meter and tenacity up for 2 turns. This would be a lot better if it had a cleanse on it. I'm worried about this because health and protection, so if you're shocked or have healing immunity, you're not getting these. You gain defense penetration up for 2 turns, so if you get buff immunity, you're not getting that. If Morgan is taunting, all Night gain 20% turn meter. If you're in tenacity up, again, buff immunity is not getting you this, and tenacity, or the turn meter is not going to happen if you're dazed. So it's just, I feel like a lot of this is just easy to prevent. So I don't see this being a defensive team, at least not right now, because that's so many ways to work around all of that. Her third special ability, Let None Pass, is the Omicron, and it's a Grand Arena Omicron, spoiler alert. Deal physical damage to target enemy, blind them for 1 turn. Blind's pretty good, so that's good. Inflict with Armor Shred, that's pretty good for the rest of the encounter, and call all other Night Sister allies to assist. The nice thing about this is it doesn't say they deal less damage or anything like that, so everyone should be doing full damage, which is great. If this attack defeats an enemy, blind all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. We love it when debuffs can't be evaded or resisted, so that's good. And again, all Night Sister allies doing full damage, and you'll see why that's even more important in just a second. And then once you're in Grand Arenas, you'll stagger the target enemy for 2 turns and expose all enemies and inflict them with buff immunity for 2 turns. If the target is inflicted with defense down, Night Sister allies do an additional 5% damage, and the cooldown of their abilities is decreased by 1. That's really good. An additional 5% damage, that take it or leave it, but the cooldown decreasing is really good. All Night Sister allies gain Frenzy for 1 turn and Protection up for 2 turns. Frenzy is going to be great. with the amount of turn meter on this team already, and then being able to then use Frenzy to get even more turn meter from that, I think that's just going to be a no-brainer for this team if you want it to be viable in Grand Arena. Without this, I don't see it being viable as of right now. Now again, the Great Mothers are going to get added and could add a lot to the team, but they're going to have to add a lot to really help this team. Then we have the paragraph of a unique that she has. At the start of the battle, all Night Sister allies gain 10% critical chance defense and max health, 30% tenacity, and 50% max protection. Again, this is on a unique, not a leader ability, so having all those stats on a unique, pretty decent. Whenever another Night Sister ally stealths, they gain 15% critical damage for 1 turn, Morgan taunts for 1 turn, and all Night Sister allies recover 25% health. Again, that's great if they can stealth, but if you get any buff immunity on you, that's really going to slow you down. Whenever a Night Sister ally gains Foresight, they gain 20% offense for 1 turn, and all Night Sister allies recover 25% protection. Again, if you can get the Foresight to land, great, but I feel like just getting buff immunity on you or any other way to basically prevent you from getting buffs is going to really hinder your ability to get a lot of these stats rolling, and as of right now, we don't have a good way to cleanse any of these debuffs. So that's the biggest thing I think we're lacking right now. Whenever a Night Sister ally critically hits an enemy, that enemy is inflicted with defense down for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. That's really good, especially because Morgan Elsbeth is going to be taunting when she attacks characters with defense down, so that's really good. The first time each other Night Sister ally falls below 20% health, they gain Foresight and Stealth for 2 turns. Morgan gains 20% defense until the end of the encounter, and they and Morgan recover 30% health protection and gain 30% turn meter. Again, great. They can get the Foresight and the Stealth if they can actually get it. If they're not having buff immunity or some other debuff that prevents buffs. Whenever Morgan is defeated, inflict all enemies with health down for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted. I guess that's okay. Health down honestly doesn't do a ton. All Night Sister allies recover 100% health and protection. That's really good. And gain 5% critical avoidance and defense, plus an additional 10% critical avoidance and defense per relic amplifier level Morgan had until the end of the encounter. This, I think, is going to be the best piece of this, because obviously if you go to relic 9, it's going to be great, and she's a tank, so she's going to benefit from that a lot. 10% critical avoidance goes to 90% critical avoidance plus the 5, so 95, and 95% defense. You get a Datacron on here with high defense, with a high crit avoidance. This team is going to be just an absolute pain to kill. So, interested in this a lot. Whenever Morgan taunts, all Night Sister allies recover 20% health and protection, and gain 15% offense until she loses taunt. Whenever she loses taunt, she recovers 5% health and protection, and gains 10% turn meter. This is all pretty good. My biggest problem with this is going to be the stacking offense. It can't really stack more than once for the most part, right? So we gain 15% offense whenever she taunts. All Night Sister allies are going to gain that 15% offense whenever she taunts, and then they can get additional 20% whenever they gain Foresight, and then they get crit damage whenever they have Stealth. So, I mean, this damage could stack up and be pretty good. The problem is we just don't know the damage of how hard some of the characters that are going to go with this are really going to be hitting. So I think Night Sister Spirit is going to be the obvious pick to be the first addition to this team, because of the fact that, one, she has pretty high base speed at 173. So, I mean, that's not the fastest character ever, but that's pretty good. It's the same speed as base speed as Captain Rex. So that's a pretty good base speed. So definitely can get out there quick, get a lot of turns, get more Foresight. She has 100% offense whenever she has Foresight. So with the additional Foresight or offense bonuses from Elsbeth, she really could hit pretty hard. But it's really hard to predict how hard she really is going to be hitting without the rest of the team here. The other obvious addition, I think, right now is Night Trooper, if you don't have Imperial Remnant built up. Night Trooper is probably better with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, but if you don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, I think he's going to be a really good addition here. But we're definitely missing more mechanics that I'm hoping the Great Mother is going to bring, because again, in Morgan Elsbeth's kit, we saw nothing about Blight or helping get stacks of Blight or transferring stacks of Blight or anything like that. Alert's going to be pretty helpful. Ally gains bonus turn meter Whenever an ally gains bonus turn meter while not at 100% turn meter, this character gains 10% turn meter. So there's a lot of ways to feed that extra turn meter from Elsbeth. So Night Trooper should be getting some extra turn meter pretty consistently, which will help him take more turns, get more hits, and we've already seen how he can hit like a frickin' truck. So I think that he's going to be really good, and he's getting some of that stacking offense, stacking crit damage. He, I think more so than Night Sister Spirit, is going to be hitting hard on this team. Night Sister Acolyte is who they want us to use, and I'm not as convinced that she's going to be as good. One of the things I'm questioning is with the stealth with Elsbeth, right? She gives, whenever I said they get 15% critical damage for 1 turn, Morgan taunts for 1 turn, Night Sister Allies recover 25% health. Can this 15% crit damage happen multiple times if we can get more assists from Night Sister Acolyte? Because she can gain stealth, but she already has stealth, so I don't know if that's going to stack. I think it should. I think that's usually how that works. So if she is able to stack up that crit damage and able to hit the crits, then maybe she'll actually be able to do quite a bit of damage. She does get additional 50% offense and 25% crit chance whenever she's under stealth. Oh wait, she gets the crit chance actually without it. So, but while she has stealth, she has an additional 50% offense. So that could certainly cause her to hit hard. But I don't know if Morgan Elsbeth is going to be able to keep taunt up enough and stealth up enough on these guys in order to really ramp the damage enough, which is why I say that we're really missing that leader aspect of the team. And we're missing that dispel. So the Great Mothers need to have a dispel, a consistent dispel, like almost like an R2 dispel, where it's like whenever they crit, they dispel all buffs or something like that, because without, even if it's just like on an ability, I just don't know that that's going to be enough. We could certainly put Talia on this team because Talia does have a dispel, but the problem is that Talia is just, her stats are really bad. 135 speed, that is really slow. And her health and protection are okay, but you need her going fast so that this dispel can happen as much as possible on this team. And I just don't think you're going to be able to get enough turns there. Plus, that's on a 5-turn cooldown. Even with Morgan Elsbeth's reductions in the cooldowns, I just don't see this being good enough. So we will see. I'm unimpressed so far, if I'm being totally honest, with how the team's unfolding so far. If the crit damage can stack and the offense can stack enough to get some really big hits from Night Trooper and Spirit, as well as maybe Acolyte, then maybe we can see kind of an offensive, like, nuke out a couple characters kind of team to help you like two-shot some harder teams, I guess. But we really are going to need a big character from the Great Mothers in order to make this team viable or on the same level as the current Night Sister team. Now, I want to hop over in game and look at a couple of things, so let's do that real quick. All right, so we're in game, and obviously the current Night Sister team is using Mother Talzin, Asajj, Marin, Daka, and Zombie is the most traditional lineup there. Now, almost all of them are pretty essential to the Night Sister team. Now, I bought the Lightspeed bundle and have not had quite the time to finish my Night Sisters. I'm currently working on Marin, but obviously the revives have a big aspect and effect on this team. Just everybody being able to revive constantly and feeding stats to each other from reviving. So it's hard for me to say that people can get stolen from this team, but if we were going to try to steal people, I think Asajj might be able to leave the team. I say might because, one, it's hard to find a replacement for Asajj, and two, Asajj does a lot of damage in that team, so having her leave the team would be certainly unfortunate, but getting that second dispel I think could really help, and that extra turn meter that she's going to be feeding to everybody else. And then maybe even using her as a leader in the meantime until we get the Great Mothers could work because of the extra speed, even more offense, and then the extra turn meter being fed and removing turn meter, effectively feeding your turn meter. You know, if you're removing theirs, you're feeding yours, really could help her the Morgan Elsbeth with the kind of turn meter train that they're hoping to run. So I'd be interested to test this for those that are unlocking Morgan Elsbeth. I am not going to be spending the $300 to unlock her. And then also her unique, while we don't get the benefits as often, since there's not going to be nearly as many as deaths and revives, she's still going to be gaining some good offense whenever they do defeat an enemy, helping the snowball to kind of roll as they get those first couple picks. And if you're able to dispel twice, Asajj has 15 speed for each enemy with no buffs, then you can get more dispels, more speed from having the double mass dispel. Her Omicron probably won't help a whole lot, since this really does feed off of deaths and revives and stuff like that. But interested to see if Asajj could work in the team. If somehow the Great Mothers are insanely good, I could see Mother Talzin being really good in the team. Having a second mass assist, being able to spread plague, which she does mostly, or she not mostly, but she does enough of it without her leadership that if the Great Mothers are good enough, I could see Talzin going into this team and basically just ditching the other team. I think that's really unlikely, but it's a possibility if the Great Mothers just come out and have like nearly everything in their kit. But again, not super likely, but a second mass assist would be really nice for the team. Acolyte will likely go on the team. I don't know if it'll be that good though. Initiate, not good. Initiate's stats are absolutely terrible. And looking at her abilities, there's just not a lot there. I would really be surprised if Initiate has any use in the squad. Zombie has no use in the squad. She can't revive. Elsbeth prevents it. Daka, again, prevents revives. It's a huge part of Daka's kit, so I really doubt Daka's useful. Talia, like we mentioned, has the Dispel, which is really good, but it's on a 5-turn cooldown, and she has very limited ways to reduce her cooldown. So Spirit, again, we talked about, will probably go in there. Night Trooper will go in there if we can. So I'm interested to see what happens with Elsbeth. I'm interested to see how good the requirements are for Balin, because it'll certainly determine how willing a lot of people are to go for him. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are excited about the new character coming out, and eventually the Great Mothers coming out, and seeing where this Night Sister team goes. I'm glad that hopefully Spirit and Acolyte will be useful. Maybe Night Trooper will actually find a home here, but I think his home is going to be more with the Imperial Remnant. So if you like the video, subscribe, like the video. Take care and peace.